Hello, everybody. Tonight was a sellout, 15,238. The gate was 2.5 million. That's U.S. The fight of the night was the main event. The performance of the night went to Devontae Smith and Montana De La Rosa. So congratulations to all of them. They all won $50,000. Who's got the first question? What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Dana? Obviously, a crazy day for you, I'm sure. First and foremost, can you tell us the latest on Rob? We saw that he's out of surgery, but what can you tell us about his condition?
Yeah, that's it. He's out of surgery, and basically what they told me was his, his colon and his intestines had popped out. And they don't think that he didn't do anything yesterday, so they don't think it was anything that he did yesterday. They think he's had it for a while, and it's been popping in and out. The scary part is that if he took a shot to the stomach while that was he could have died. I mean, he could rupture the colon, and you become septic, and that's not good. So, everything happens for a reason. This worked out. It's great the way this worked out, actually, to find out that this kid had this problem and was unhealthy, and we were able to get it fixed, and they think he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. I was talking to Matt Damon tonight, and he disagrees. He said he's had hernia surgery, and anybody who said 4 to 6 weeks is ridiculous. That's not right. So we'll see how this thing plays out for Rob. I don't know.
With the late shuffle, of course, you had to offer refunds. You said it was a sellout, but I mean, do you know what kind of financial impact it had on the gate? I mean, were there returns and resales?
Were you at the fight tonight?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. Did you see an open seat?
I didn't.
I love Australia, man. This place is insane. It's awesome. No, the fans are incredible, man. They showed up. There was a big sign out in front that said, the main event is off, and you can get a refund on your tickets if you want. And people didn't want a refund; they wanted to see fights. So, place was packed. You'd have never thought the main event was gone. So incredible.
How about pay-per-view wise? I mean, I imagine it couldn't have been great for pay-per-view sales. Do you have any indications?
The pay-per-view wasn't bad. The pay-per-view wasn't bad at all. So it was a good night. I didn't sleep at all, but other than that, it was a great night. Yeah, it worked out. Everything worked out. You listen. At the end of the day, you're going to hear people bitch, and there's going to be people that don't want to buy it, and they don't have to. But most fight fans want to see some fights, and we did really well considering what happened to us.
Yeah, no doubt. Last thing on this situation, of course, we got to see how long Rob is going to be out. But does Kelvin keep his place as the #1 contender? I mean, is he guaranteed the next title shot or whatever happens? I mean, is he involved in it?
Well, we have to see how this thing plays out with the champ and see how long he's going to be out, and you know what I mean. And we'll go from there.
Nice. And then just lastly for me, can we get your thoughts on the main event, how Israel Adesanya looked? I mean, a big win for him over a legend. But what did you think of his performance, and where do you see him at his position in his career?
It was fun, man. That first round was like a kung fu movie, It was a fun fight to watch, very fun, with two guys who are incredibly talented. I was saying yesterday, any odds makers that makes Anderson Silva 7-1 is out of their mind. I mean, the guy is always taking care of himself. He's a great martial artist, and, that was a fun fight. But Israel went in with a sold-out house tonight. A lot of pressure on him to go in against the guy. Anderson's 42 years old. He's supposed to go in and beat Anderson. But those are the kind of positions you're in that you got a lot of pressure on you when you go in. Anderson even said, all the pressure's on him. There's none on me. And it was a fun fight. I think he did a good job against nobody. I don't know how people can't give Anderson Silva the credit that this guy deserves. 7-1 underdog. He's a crafty veteran. He's very talented. He's got knockout power. And if it went to the ground, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and has submitted a lot of guys who are great jiu-jitsu, black belts. So people are nuts counting him out.
Dana, I'm just wondering, with Israel, he did a great job during Fight Week, did a lot of interviews, has a lot of skills when it comes to promotion. I'm just wondering your thoughts on him compared to some of the other rising stars that we've seen in the past, guys like Conor McGregor, other people in the UFC.
Yeah, the kid's got it. I mean, he's got that. Not only is he talented in the octagon, he's talented outside of it too. His interviews are exciting. He's an interesting guy. He's fun to watch. And I think he's got a really bright future here.
Kelvin was in the back with the belt on his shoulder. I'm just wondering your reaction to seeing Kelvin walking around with the belt today at the event and sort of ringside.
That was Cejudo's belt that he borrowed. Yeah, it was cute.
And just finally, I mean, you mentioned that it was a sellout and people didn't refund their tickets. A couple of times we've tried to have champions defend their title here. Would you be open to having Rob possibly defend his title in Australia in the future, possibly in 2019, 2020, if he's still the champ?
Australia is where he's from. This is the motherland for him, but it hasn't been very nice to him, this country. He hasn't had the best of luck here. Yeah, we'll see how the timing plays out on this stuff. But yeah, listen, I'll come to Australia every weekend, man. I love this place. The people are incredible. The fans are amazing. Except for the guy that wrote "fuck UFC" over on that street the other day. Except for that guy, this place is great.
Hey, Dana, I was just wondering, sort of historically, in terms of the events here in Australia, it's usually been pay-per-view fight night, pay-per-view fight night. Do you think because of this situation, one of the blessings could be that maybe the next event is a pay-per-view here in Australia? I'm not sure sort of what the future schedule is and when to come
I don't
back.
know. I don't think that's a strategic thing where we're going pay-per-view fight night. But, if you look at the fights that we've brought here so far, I mean, this fight tonight that happened and the main event was supposed to happen. We brought Ronda Rousey here. To this day, Mark Hunt versus Bigfoot Silva is one of the greatest heavyweight fights I've ever seen, and it was insane. Every time we come here, the fights are really, really good. I believe it has a lot to do with the energy here in Australia and the fans, and fighters feed off that, man. They do. This is one of the funnest places in the world to come fight.
And just to clarify that question, I meant if Rob ended up on the next card in here, because obviously if Rob's defending his belt, surely that's not going to be a fight, no?
I know, but we're laying out, as we lay out the year, we have most of this year laid out already. And I don't think one of those was Australia to come back with the title fight. But who knows? Maybe we add Australia again and try Rob again for a third time here.
Just in terms of Israel, as far as what's next, do you think there's any chance that he sort of gets this title shot over Kelvin Gastelum? I know there's unfinished business there, but at the presser there was talk that this was for the number one contender spot.
Well, I think it is. This was for the number one contender spot, but we got to see how this plays out with Robin and how he's feeling.
Just last one for me, Jimmy Crute, you're obviously very high on him at the press conference. What did you think of his win?
I think he looked damn good, and especially against a really, really tough guy. I think there's only been 3 people that have ever finished him out of 40-something fights. So I didn't agree with the stoppage. I thought it was a bad stoppage. A lot of those shots were hitting him on the arm, but he was obviously hurt. But the fight could have gone a little longer. We could have saw a little bit more Crute. Bad stoppage, in my opinion.
Hey, Dana. In the cage, Anderson said he'd like to fight in Curitiba, Brazil, later this year. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. We're still working on that card.
And what sort of person would you put him in there against? Obviously, this Israel fight sort of sold on their styles, but who in the top 10 would you like to see him up against? Who makes sense for him at this point?
I don't know. Tuesday we'll have a matchmaking meeting, and I'll have to look at it and figure it out.
And your thoughts on the Conor McGregor link? Conor tweeted out he'd like to fight Anderson. It would be an honor.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't like that fight at all.
Fair enough. And just to clarify, Kelvin was back here. He said that there'd been some talks, but he received some payment for today, right?
What? Who?
Kelvin.
Kelvin?
Yeah.
He has not yet. Yeah, but he will.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Dana. So
Hi.
I just wanted to know what you thought about Montana De La Rosa's fight against Nadia. And then when she was back here, she said that she wanted to fight Paige Van Zant. And I just want to know what you think about that match.
Yeah, I like it. And what I thought about her, she got $50,000 tonight. So I thought it was great. She looked dynamite tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dana.
Hey.
There's a lot of uncertainty in a number of the divisions, and in this middleweight division is now fits that characterization as well. Do you think at any point the UFC would consider outlining specific criteria for determining who the next number one contender is, specifically because you guys call yourself a league?
I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah, you did in this fight, but it tends to be rare, and it seems to be a lot of uncertainty. We go into these fights.
How does it tend to be rare?
Well, like lightweight's a good example.
Okay.
Where Ferguson won the interim title and then was stripped, and now we're not sure.
He got hurt.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing that he won the title.
Then what are you saying?
I'm saying that a lot of fighters feel like they fight for a number one contender fight, win, and then something else
Right,
happens
but
a
it's
month
all
later.
based on who's healthy, who's ready to go, and who's not. Because the machine has to keep rolling. We have X amount of fights every year, and if you can't defend, listen, when you win an interim title, it means you're next. If you can't go next, it means you're out and somebody else goes next. I think that's the criteria. That's what we always do.
All right, thank you.
Disagree?
I think a lot of fighters disagree. I mean, we hear a lot of
Fighters
talk about
disagree
that.
with everything I say. I'm not asking if the fighters do. Do you disagree?
I would disagree with that, yeah.
And why? How would you disagree with that? So Colby Covington won the interim title. He was next. He couldn't fight. He turned down the fight with Tyron Woodley. So what am I supposed to wait for Colby Covington to show up and fight? That's not how it works. Tony's next. He's got the fight. He's got the belt. Trips blows his knee out and has to have, reconstructive knee surgery. We're going to wait for him? No, we're going to move on.
But Tony Ferguson fought on the same card as the unification fight between Conor McGregor and Habib. So he
Yeah.
was ready to fight for the undisputed title.
Right, but he missed his opportunity. We already made the fight. He was out.
Okay.
Now he'll be next. You're wrong, sir.
Sorry, Dana, just on interim titles, Khabib spoke about maybe taking a break till November, and Cowboy Cerrone was here talking about a potential Conor McGregor fight. I'm just wondering, what's the lightweight division sort of look like for you at the moment? And if Khabib does sit out till November, would you actually entertain the idea of bringing in an interim title?
Well, like this gentleman just said, I just said, guys can't sit out and wait that long when you have the title. You can't do it. So if that's true and he's going to do that, then we'd have to figure out something else. And you start looking at whether it's Conor McGregor, Tony Ferguson, or, one of these other guys. Whoever wants to, when opportunity knocks, answer the door. And we'll see how this thing plays out. That's the criteria. I'm just messing with you, man.
Dana, someone who definitely doesn't want to sit out is Ben Askren. With his attitude and the entertainment he's already brought to the UFC now, particularly on Twitter, even though he hasn't already fought, do you wish you'd brought him in a little bit earlier?
Say that again. Askren wants to fight. He wants to fight everybody. Am I looking to do what?
Do you wish you'd brought him into the UFC a little bit earlier?
Oh. No, I think right now is the perfect time. Seriously, I think right now is the perfect time. Listen, this guy cruised around and he fought in different promotions, and he's 27-0 now, and he's here, and people are excited about him being here now, and let's see what happens.
And one more for me. Obviously, China and Japan are bigger in your plans. How about Southeast Asia? Is there any plans to come back there in 2019?
Off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that question right now.
Cool.
All right. What's up, buddy?
G'day, Dana. How you going, mate? A lot of the, just straight up the back, mate. A lot of the local fighters always ask me, directly straight in front of you, Dana. We're up with the cameras, buddy.
All right.
There we
Oh, yeah,
go.
got you.
A lot of the local fighters are always asking me, what's the pathway to the UFC? Is there a certain promotion that you tend to look at locally, or is there a way that we can tell these guys exactly what they should be doing?
Yeah, if you're out there fighting in one of these organizations, no matter where it is, if it's out here or anywhere else in the world, and you keep cracking off wins, and then you beat somebody that we think is good enough to fight, then we'll definitely take a look at you. And right now, the best way to get into the UFC right now is either looking for a fight or the Contender Series. So. And the Ultimate Fighter. All three of those are coming back this summer, so there's plenty of opportunities for guys.
Dana, Kelvin and Israel both took a shot at Rob tonight in their own interviews for not turning up to work.
Yeah.
I wonder what you make of that.
And listen, the guy got hurt. He's a human being. His colon and his intestine popped through his stomach. I think we can give him a pass on not showing up to work, and I'm glad that that it happened, because they think it's been there for a while and they think it's been bothering him for a while, and he didn't realize what it was, and super dangerous. This is something legit. This is something real. This isn't some bullshit like some of the guys recently who have turned down fights. This is as legit and as real as you can get. And his family was fighting with him because he didn't want to go to the hospital till 5 o'clock this morning. He was actually going to fight, push through it and fight, and thank God he didn't. So, yeah.
And,
There's guys out there you can ridicule. Rob Whittaker isn't one of them.
I was going to say, you mentioned too before about the show's got to go on. So obviously, around the middleweight division, there's a lot of guys who want to fight for a belt. How long would you want him till he's back?
Well, hopefully this thing's only going to be 4 to 6 weeks, according to the doctors. So, you know, he's in great shape right now. They said he had the best camp ever. His cut was easy. Everything was perfect. And then this thing happened to him. So he's in great shape. And let's see how long it takes him to recover from this. And we'll make something as fast as we can.
Dana?
Yep.
Kaká de France and Shane Young over here.
Yep.
Kaká de France and Shane Young both had great performances tonight on the prelims. What
Yep.
did you make of them?
Yeah, no, great. Great fights. I mean, there were some really good performances tonight. And, yeah, I thought he looked good.
And those two and Israel are both from New Zealand. Is there any possibility of returning there this year or in 2020?
To New Zealand?
Yes.
Well, look at Israel now. I mean, yeah, everything's
Plus
possible.
Kai and Shane and Dan
Yeah,
Hooker. There's a
absolutely.
bunch of guys there now.
I agree. I mean, you know the answer to that question. The answer to that question is yes. I mean, this part of the world right now, I was saying this the other day, you know, when we first started coming over here and building this market, you know, we had Elvis Sinisic and Parosh. You know, those were like the only two guys that I knew of that fought. Now it's blown up so much. Not only are there tons of guys fighting, there are tons of talented people here. You know, people who are gonna climb up into the ranks and possibly become world champions someday. So this is a great market. I mean, if you ever, I was talking about the market the other day when I was doing all the PR leading up to the fight. If tonight didn't prove what an incredible, amazing market this is, nothing will. You know, the main event with the Australian champion falls out, and this place was packed like nothing happened to the card. It was awesome. Love it. I'd literally come here every weekend if we could.
Hey, Dana, right in front of you.
Yep.
Now, I just want to go back on the Jimmy Crute and Sam Alvey fight. Now, I thought that was interesting because I agree with you, it was a bad stoppage, but Jimmy Crute tried the walkaway. What did you think of that?
No, the ref screwed that up too.
Yeah.
The ref jumped in there, and he thought the ref was breaking it up. The ref did a really, really bad job. Real poor refereeing in that fight. And, you know, when something like that happens, it could have cost Crute the fight because if Alvey got back up and, you know, and then he goes to stop it too soon, then he stops it too early, in my opinion. It happens sometimes, and, you know, it sucks for Sam.
Were you surprised about the crowd reaction in the main event? Because there was a lot of Silva chants out there when Israel. I thought there would be more support for Israel, but there would seem to be a hell of a lot of support for a legend.
Yeah, I don't, because I think I think everybody respects Anderson Silva so much. He's in there at 42 years old and 7-1 underdog and all that stuff. You know, it's hard not to cheer for a living legend.
Now.
And I don't think it doesn't mean that they don't like Israel.
No.
It's just,
yeah,
it's Anderson.
It was a bit of a split because as soon as the Silva chant came in, then an Izzy chant
Right.
came in, so it was a weird one. When the main event got pulled, we were obviously all disappointed, but how did the decision for Venata and Mariano to move up to co-main event, how did that come about?
Because the guys called me from Vegas and said, what do you want to do? And I said, this is a no-brainer. Lando it's a no-brainer. Tell me the last shitty fight you saw that kid in. It doesn't exist. The kid's an animal. I love the way that kid fights. And that's the thing. He had said something to me about being on you know, I'm on Fight Pass, but you're the main event on Fight Pass. You know what I mean? What people don't realize is there's actually a marketing budget for Fight Pass. So all the attention goes to him. Then there's a marketing budget for the guy who headlines ESPN, right? Then there's a marketing budget for whoever headlines and co-main events pay-per-view. So everybody gets a shitload of money spent on them. So we make sure that we put the best guys or the ones that we think are going to put on the best fights in those main event positions. That's how that works. So it's no disrespect. If you end up on Fight Pass, there's a lot of money being thrown at your name.
Just the final one from me. Anderson said after in the octagon after his fight that he wants to go back and fight in Brazil.
Yep.
Is Silva versus Weidman 3 something you'd be interested in?
Yeah. I mean, I'd do that fight again if they both wanted to do it. It's a fun fight.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you.
Hi, Dana.
How are you?
Very well. Are you able to rule out at all in the next 3-4 months of ever stripping Rob of the title?
To rule out stripping him in the next 3 months? No, he's going to be better in 4 to 6 weeks. When we have a guy who blows an ACL or says I'm going to take some time off or things like this, those we look at how long the guys are going to be off. Then we look at whether these other guys should have to wait. Time is not your friend in this business. So when one guy decides he wants to take time, it's not fair to everybody else that is in there grinding and fighting. So Rob is looking like 4 to 6 weeks. We'll see how his progression goes, and we'll go from there.
Would it hurt you more stripping him than you have with some of the other strips you've had to do?
It's never fun to strip somebody of the title. It's never fun. They worked hard to get there. They went through a lot of shit to earn that title, and it's never fun to take it away from anybody.
Last one from me. At the end of the first round of the main event, when the crowd was losing their mind, right at the end of the first round, everyone jumped to their feet. And I think you and Matt Damon were the same.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us what you were saying to each other?
I was just like, holy shit. We were saying what everybody else was. This is awesome. What a great round. It was like a kung fu movie. It's fun to see two super talented guys, the up-and-coming kid and the living legend, go at it like they did. Fun. And when you think about it, we were talking leading up to this fight how Anderson always wanted to fight a clone of himself. They really are a lot alike in the showmanship and the talent and the way they fight. And you really saw that in the first round. Any other questions? I cannot stress this enough. Thank you, Australia. Thank you so much, you guys. See you next time.